All right, so now we're recording and you can hear me fine?
Yep.
Oh, dude, Julian,
All good. Rob,
good to have you
how's
here,
things, brother?
man. Good to have you here,
Pleasure.
dude.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm really stoked to have you here, man. We connected through social media. Um, we've known each other for quite a bit of time, and through conversation, we're here talking, having a conversation to kind of share some stuff about who you are and your mindset,
Yep.
how you got to where you're at right now, which I think is super important to share with other people because right now, as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world that has people's minds kind of going all crazy and stuff. And um,
Yeah.
I love the story that you've shared with me about your life and where you've came from and where you're at now and what you're doing. And just, in brief, man, who are you, Julian? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah. So, I'm Julian PALEI. I'm 36 years old. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, born and bred here. I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm a music manager. I manage an up and coming artist. His name's JC. We're doing a lot of crazy shit in Australia, making some serious waves in the market. And yeah, I run an independent record label with my partner Nick, who co-manages JC with me, and yeah, also run a digital agency and yeah, just do my thing. I've always been a big fan of mindset and trying to figure out why we do what we do, and that's kind of led me on my own journey, my own sort of hero's journey, and uncovering myself and figuring out how I tick. And yeah, came across you. Really liked your content. Yeah, it was quite funny actually. We were talking about this over the phone. I initially came across you through a girl that I was interested in. She followed a lot of your stuff on Instagram, and I saw her reposting something, and I was like, oh, okay, she's into this dude. Let me check him out. So yeah, I started, having a look at your profile and really liked some of the stuff that you were putting out, and was like, I like this guy. So I gave you a follow and kind of continued along. And then, nothing really happened with the girl, but, I stayed for the content. So here we are. So that's quite funny. But yeah, like big believer in the whole mindset thing. And, I think it's super important. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, a lot of uncertainty. And I think it's really important for people to really tap into themselves and into their own power and, really figure out what their own destiny is, and really go along that path and create their own lives. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. But yeah.
I agree, man. It's funny, dude, because you know how my girl and I how we met. So
Mm,
her ex-boyfriend, like two ex-boyfriends ago, he used to follow my think page, right? This is like back in like 2015, I want to say.
yeah.
And he said, "Hey, dude," or "Hey, her," to Angie, "Hey, you should follow him. Like he writes really well. He kind of reminds me of you because like she
Yeah.
writes really well too." And so like we always joke about how we met each other because of her ex-boyfriend. And it's just funny because like how people just refer other people or people recommend other people and how people connect like through social media. It's a powerful tool, man. It's a crazy
Mm.
powerful tool. But
Yeah, I think it's incredible. Like I think there's a lot of people that shit on it, especially around the world, and it's like fuck Facebook, and fuck these big companies and all these tools and all that sort of stuff, while at the same time using all of these tools. But I think with it, like anything, it is what you make it. Like for me, I predominantly use it for business and to connect with people. And, that's how you and I got started, and, how we've connected. And for me, I try to just really look at the benefits and really just try and pull as many of the benefits for myself as much as I can, So, yeah, I think the tools are really important these days. And I think it comes down to how you utilize them.
that's for damn sure, man. Yeah, because social media it can be kind of like a trap, dude, like a big time trap where like you get sucked in to it immediately in the beginning of your day. If you wake up, if you have that habit, right? I'm not sure if you have that habit or
Mm,
not. I make sure when I wake up in the morning, I make sure that the first thing I do is get myself outside. Like get myself
yeah,
outside. Do what I
yeah,
have to do to prepare myself to get outside. And then when I get outside with my phone, that's when I start to go through it. But I don't even get on my phone then. I don't get on social media
Mm.
then like that. I started to listen to. There's actually a really good book. Oh fuck, that's all right. I just spilled all over myself. My drink.
Oh
There's
shit.
a. It's gonna have to stay there.
We're not editing that. That
We're
stays
not
in the
editing that. It's
podcast.
staying in. It's staying in. It's my feet are wet. The carpet's gonna be discolored, and it's gonna be all right.
Angie, we need another drink.
We. Yeah, that's interesting stuff, man. Damn it. All right, cool. It is what it is. So, but yeah, man. There's a book that I love to listen to and read. It's called Your Forces and How to Use Them.
Mhm.
And it's a crazy book, but every morning when I wake up, the first thing I listen to that I plug my mind into is that book. I don't plug
Nice,
myself into social media. I don't plug myself into the internet. I
nice,
plug myself into that book.
nice, nice.
Before we get into like your story and like what you're up to and what you're doing, like the bigger stuff
Yeah.
and like the behind the scenes, what's your morning habit? What do you do?
All right. So I need to get better with this, but I have been refining it over the last few years. And, where it's at now is much better than where it was, let's say 3 or 4 years ago. So the very first thing that I do when I wake up is I literally make my bed. So I heard a podcast, an interview, I think it was with like a Navy SEAL or somebody that did a talk like that a while ago. And the title of it was, if you want to take over the world, start off by making your bed. And I was like, shit, I want to take over the world. I can make my bed. So I never really used to do it. And I just started doing it one day at the beginning of, I think 2017. And that kind of became my, I guess, I don't know, like pillar, I guess, of things that I did first thing in the morning. So yeah, first thing I do is I make my bed. And then depending on what day it is, I either go work out with my trainer or, if I'm working out that day, I go see my trainer and we work out and do all that sort of stuff. If I don't have him, I see him a couple mornings a week. If I don't have him, I generally just pull out my laptop and start working, which is a really bad habit. I want to get into the habit of, exercising and actually getting out of the house first thing in the morning on those days where I don't see my trainer. And yeah, once I get, I guess, on the days where I have my trainer, after gym, I come home straight away, jump in the shower, do that, then get out of the shower and meditate. So I meditate 20 minutes each day. And, on the days where I don't have my trainer, I do a bit of work straight away as soon as I wake up. Then I jump in the shower and then I meditate right after. So generally, right after showering, I meditate, and that kind of sets me up for the day. It's without doubt one of the best things that I've added to my life over the last few years. And I'd recommend anybody that doesn't do it to do it. It's just free, amazing stuff. It doesn't cost anything to meditate, and the benefits are just incredible. And and then after that, I have some food and pretty much get stuck into the day. Like, got a fuckload of work on these days, in between managing JC and trying to build him up, and, our record label, and, the digital agency, and, the other things that I'm doing, and, things like this. There's a lot of stuff going on, and, meetings all the time. So once I kind of get my morning routine out of the way, then it's just full steam ahead into the day. And that kind of just continues until, I don't even know, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So it's crazy. But I'm always trying to refine my morning routine, because I think if you can, you win the morning, you win the day. And if you can set yourself up, in a really good way from the outset, it's just, it's going to, you're going to pick up momentum, and you're going to have, a whole bunch of tasks ticked off for the day, and it's just going to help. And, if you keep doing that day by day, then things will just compound. And before you know it, you're doing shit that you couldn't imagine yourself sort of doing before, and achieving things that, you sort of only ever dreamed of before, but, it's kind of like a reality day to day. So, yeah, but, other things I'm wanting to implement. I used to, when so I did this for about, I would say 6 months, maybe 7 months. I implemented cold showers into my morning routine. So whenever I get in the shower, I do my sort of, normal wash. And then for the last minute, I'd go full fucking cold and just stand under there and just like, you know, pretty much die for a minute. And, you know, the benefits of that, you know, are really, you know, really good. You know, obviously with, you know, replenishment of blood cells and, you know, reproduction of blood cells and whatnot, and just the immune system and respiratory stuff. But yeah, I don't know what happened. I kind of, after about 6 or 7 months, I stopped doing it. And then it just became hard to get back into it because, you know, being under a really cold shower, especially now in, you know, winter here in Australia, it's not fun. But I do remember when I was doing it, it was really good. So yeah, that's more or less my morning routine. But yeah, always looking at ways of refining it and really just, you know, getting better at it. I think waking up earlier is key. That's one thing that I still need to improve on. But, you know, I think as long as we're always just, you know, chipping away and continuously, you know, improving ourselves, that's the most important thing. Like, you know, one of my sort of mottos is an acronym CANI, which is can I, which basically stands for constant and never ending improvement. And, you know, that's kind of what I try and live by, like, you know, those incremental steps day by day. Yeah, so
That's cool, man.
I
That's
don't
cool.
know. That's the morning routine. Otherwise, I'll go on a tangent.
I've never heard about that before, man. Can I?
Mm.
CANI. It's crazy, man. I used to, by the way, like, she's gonna be pissed, man. It's like, it's bad. There's ice everywhere. There's like this colored stuff everywhere on the floor. It's bad. It's really
Do you
bad.
want to do you want to pause it and clean it?
No, it's fine. It's cool.
You sure?
It's gonna have to stay. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's cool. Just be with it. Just being with it. It's good. Good stuff. But yeah, dude, speaking of cold, because there's a bunch of ice in that water, cold showers. I was taking cold showers for about, I want to say 4 to 6 months consistently.
Mm.
Probably about like
Yeah.
maybe 4 to 5 times a week consistently. That shit sucked. It
Oh
was
man.
not, it's not fun. Like
No.
you turn on the water and you know, obviously you don't turn on the heat. You just turn on the left side with the cold
Yeah.
water. You have three knobs. Back in my old apartment, I had three knobs. So I turn it all the way to the left, like turn it all the way on. Um, and then the water comes out and you can feel like the cold mist hit you
Oh
and you're
yeah.
standing outside the tub and you're like, damn it, and your like arms start getting tight and you're just like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and you start getting in your head and you're like, I don't want to do this, why am I doing this, this is stupid, why am I doing
Yeah. Oh
it?
man.
Yeah, and then you get in, like, first of all, like the first barrier, the first like thing there
Oh,
is
so
like,
you actually get into the tub, yeah? You got
well,
into a tub, or you got
yeah, well,
under like a shower?
yeah, it was under the shower, but like it's a tub shower. So there's a tub,
Oh, okay,
but
got
there's
it.
a
Yeah.
shower head.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Yep.
you know, you kind of have to like step your leg over. Like you, like when you go, you have to like actually step into it, right? You're not just walking into it. You have to step into it.
Yeah.
So you're like
Yeah. Yeah.
choosing to go in this like freezing water, and then you step into it, and boom, it hits you, and you're like, oh shit, and you're breathing hard, and then like after a while, it becomes kind of like numbing. Like you don't really feel it as
Mm,
much and you're in
mm,
there. It's not like it doesn't get any more comfortable. It just becomes kind
mm.
of sustainable. I found this to be really interesting too. It's parallel, right? There's parallels everywhere in life, right? And all the
Yeah.
things that we're doing, all the experiences,
100%. 100%.
100%, man. That has helped me so much step into things that I didn't want to do, but I did want to do, but I didn't want to do because my
Yeah.
identity, my ego was like,
Yeah.
no, bro, what if you fail? What if you mess up? What if this, da da, it's gonna hurt? What if you look stupid? And like, so I hear all that shit going on, right? Like, I think all of us hear all this stuff going on because of those cold showers. Like, that's what I connect to when I'm about to do something that's risky,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That could be like that could be destructive, like in a good way, right? But it's destructive to the ego, and you're like, let's just go,
Yeah.
let's just step in. That's something that actually, like,
100%, bro.
yeah, man, that's something that Angie has told me about too. She's like, you just like sometimes you just don't care, like you just turn it off, like it's just switch. That's the switch. It came from the shower. It really did,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And the thing is, we all have these things. Like, you know, I'm a firm believer, like, especially at like our age, like, you know, mid 30s, we've had experiences, you know, we've all had experiences in life and we've developed skills and we've had shit that has shaped us and we've had various awarenesses and whatnot. And I'm a firm believer that, like, you know, 98% of what we need is already within us. You know, it's just about figuring out how to tap in to previous parts. Like, when it's all about pattern recognition. When, like you said, like when you're scared of doing something, you tap into that part where you felt confident, where you'd actually broken through that barrier. And it makes it easier to break through other things because you've already had that felt experience of breaking through something. And, I try and apply that on a daily basis as well. And actually, I think that's obviously the reason why you called your podcast thing, there is no ceiling, because, we all put this ceiling, above ourselves, this glass ceiling where, it's invisible, but it's there to sort of hold us down. And whether that be sort of limiting beliefs and, social conditionings and upbringings and whatever it is, we're the ones that put it up. And like, why I really, like before you and I even connected, and when I started, following your content and following things, like I really loved what you called your movement and your podcast, because I think that's, the title is super apt. Like, I think it's spot on with what you're trying to do, because I think we all put these glass ceilings above ourselves, and it's all about trying to figure out how to remove them. And like, for me, even though I feel like I'm in a really good zone with what I'm doing, and I feel like through all the work I've done on myself over the years, through therapy and meditation and, personal growth and reading and podcasts and all that sort of stuff, like I feel like I'm in a really great place in terms of my own framework for knowing how I think. But even that, on a daily basis, I know when I'm putting up glass ceilings, on things that I'm trying to do. But the good thing is like, I'm in a place now where I'm, super aware that when I put it up, I'm like, okay, well, this is why I'm putting it up. And, it's connected to this insecurity, and it's, it's been triggered because of this. And now I know how to pull it down. And, now I connect to this other part of me, which is super confident or has achieved something. And, I can get past this barrier, and you know what I mean? Like all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think, I don't even know what we were talking about, but, I think, I think that's a big key,
Yeah,
removing
yeah.
those glass ceilings.
We were talking about showers and about that moment of like truth,
That's right. Breaking through.
breaking through, man. It really is that breakthrough, man. It really is like what you were talking about as far as like your connection to my brand, to think, to the brand think, and like understanding that, yeah, we do surround ourselves. We build up our own walls. We build up our own ceilings based off of our own beliefs, our own perceptions, our own worldviews. And then like, if we don't challenge those,
And experiences, like experiences that we've had that have shaped us growing up. And I think, I think like a lot of people are in very tough places, because I think to really get past it is you've got to do the work on yourself. You've got to do the deep work on yourself, because otherwise you're just living in the world, constantly being triggered, constantly having, insecurities triggered, unresolved childhood traumas triggered. And, your interactions with people are never going to be at their most optimal, because it's always layered with this emotional element that you're not even fully aware of. So yeah, I think really, yeah, it's super important to really sort of figure that out.
yeah, to do that work, like to really dig
Mm.
deep into that work. Yeah, and again, man, what's parallel to doing that work is parallel to like starting something that you want to do, to jumping in that cold shower, to talking to somebody that you're attracted to speaking to a prospect that you want to sign on as a client, right? It's
Yeah.
like that barrier. There's always that barrier that's there, right? And that what you're talking about as far as like doing the work, what, and this is all from personal experience. It's like when I know that there's something that's painful that I've suppressed, that's there, and a lot of times it has to do with like, well, back in the day, because now I don't care, but back in the day it had to do a lot with like facing the truth about who I really am, right? Like,
Mm.
man, I really do show up this way, and like in the beginning it's really hard to face that, because you're like, am I really an asshole? Like, am I really a dick? Is that really who I am? Or am I really somebody that like, that shows up in a certain way that where people don't respect me? And in the beginning of the process of doing the work, that sucks, dude.
Mm.
It's really heavy. And if you're not familiar with that, it's like, it's gonna destroy you. It really is gonna. You're gonna be laying in your bed
Ah,
crying and like with the covers over your head, like oh my god, I can't believe I am this way, right? And it's the same thing with that barrier, man. That jumping in the
mm,
shower, like all right, this is gonna suck, and it's gonna suck just for a few minutes, and then it's
mm,
gonna like go away, and I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna come out a different person, right? And it's the same thing with doing the work.
mm,
Like this is gonna suck, and
yeah,
like even now too, where it's like I just hired a business coach to take my business to a different level now, and I'm facing certain things right now where I'm like, I fucking suck. I'm not really that
mm,
good at what I'm doing. Like I think I thought I was good, but this level requires a different me. Like this
100%.
yeah, you know what I mean? And so old me
Oh,
would have been
without a
like,
doubt.
I can't do, I don't know, man. This is intimidating. But now, like from this mindset though, bring it, man. Bring it, because I don't
Yeah,
want to be where I'm at.
yeah. No, man, I agree. And I think, a lot of people play very mediocre. And I think a lot of people just, are kind of doing the usual sort of rat race and doing their thing and all that. And I get it. Like, a lot of people's minds aren't geared that way. But, for me, my mind is always trying to expand and always trying to think about how to grow and, get more information and how to better myself. And, like I was never down just to do like, just regular shit, like I was never down just to, do just this normal 9 to 5 and all that sort of stuff. Not saying it's bad, but it's just for me, I always had a vision for my life of just, just something different. And, that's why, I'm just pursuing that and I'm just, trying to make my dreams happen and, really just do what makes me happy, because I think that, work is such a huge part of our lives that, we spend, however many years, 30, 40, 50 years doing something, whether that's, just working a normal job or, working on your passion or working on your business, that it's important to do something that, you love and something that really brings you joy on a daily basis, because otherwise, what the fuck's it for? And, otherwise you're just you're unhappy, you're unhappy. So I think, yeah, that was a big thing for me to really, do something that I love and all of that. But once you have that passion, then it makes you want to work harder and really sort of, uncover more and, sort of become a master of what you do and learn every little thing about it. um
You
so what were you
mentioned,
gonna say?
yeah, so you mentioned that like you manage JC, whom is a music artist, right?
Yeah.
So like this is where you're at right now, right? You're managing a music artist and you're planning to take him to a different level.
Hmm.
You What got you to this point? Like where, like because you said you had desire, you had a vision, like you wanted to be something bigger. Where were you at before, and like what happened? What clicked?
Yeah, I think, I think a big part of it was really, I guess in the simplest terms, was building up my self-esteem. I think even though for many years I may have projected confidence and may have come across a certain way on the outside, I didn't really feel that way on the inside. And it was really developing that internal sort of self-esteem, that self-worth, that self-love that really started building all that up. And, the funny thing is that when I really started to develop and build all that within me, I met JC and, my partner, Nick, who I co-manage him with. And, we were really all very much aligned with what we were wanting to build for our own lives and then together as a team. And that's why we've been able to do what we've done, really, really quickly. We've only been working together for just under 2 years. And, we've hit a lot of massive milestones with the music stuff, which is really cool. And we're in an amazing pocket where just the momentum's picking up and, like a lot of fucking crazy shit's happening at the moment, which is cool. But for me to sort of get to that level internally, I had to, really, just go deep within myself and uncover and pull away all the shit that was sort of put on top of me throughout my life, whether it was, certain experiences or, societal conditioning or, stuff from my parents or, friends or whatever it is. Like, I think, I think wherever we come from, and like, you know, I live a really blessed life. I've got an incredible family. I live in, you know, amazing community. I'm very, very blessed. But I think regardless of, you know, where we come from, we all have our own experiences. Everybody's got their own shit. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their own problems and their own traumas and their own shit that's unresolved from childhood. So I think for each individual, and you know, I think we're all broken in our own way. You know what I mean? And I think for each individual, it's super important to find out how they're broken, to really understand that, to understand what's shaped them, and really figure out how that's holding them back in life, and start, you know, pulling that apart and really start, you know, I kind of liken it to an, you know, like an excavation. And you've really got to excavate fucking all of this shit from inside of you to really get to, you know, the truth. And for me, I could only really start doing what I'm doing now, you know, with JC and, you know, the music stuff, and really taking shit to the level that we are, you know, by doing that first. And it was kind of like a hero's journey going through all of that. But yeah, I think I wouldn't have been able to level up hadn't I done all that deep, you know, sort of psychological, personal growth work on myself, which is super important. And, you know, couple that with the meditation, which is super important as well. And I think it just, you know, if you're really focused on it and you really want to, you know, figure it out, you will, you know, and that goes, you know, goes for anyone. Like, you know, people tell me I can't meditate and it's so hard and this and that. And it's like, yeah, you know, nothing's easy when you start it. You've just got to force yourself to do it. It's like, you know, when, you know, you started riding a bike, you know, you rode, you fell off, you kept riding, you fell off, and you just kept trying until you got it right. It's the same way with like a baby, you know what I mean? Like the reason everybody, you know, pretty much everyone in the world walks is because when a baby started trying to walk for the first time and then they fell over, you know, nobody said, hey, you're a stupid baby, you fell over, you shouldn't keep trying. It was like, nah, keep trying, keep trying. It was, you know, and the baby kept trying, and eventually got there, you know. And I think what happens is when we get older, it's like we might try a business and then it's like, ah, nah, you failed, you fucked up. And then that kind of layers something, you know, on us. And then you try something else and it's like, that didn't go down well with somebody, and that layers something else on you. And then, you know, you get to like, you know, your 20s, your 30s or whatever, and you've just got all this shit on you that isn't even really you. And you've just got to fucking figure out tools and techniques through doing the work to, you know, to pull it all apart. But for me, yeah, like that's a big one. But for me, it all kind of started, you know, in you know, like I've always wanted to learn and figure myself out, and it's been a, you know, it's been a long journey. But for me, what really sort of was the catalyst was in 2013 when I started dating my ex, and you know, the relationship that we had, and you know, that was a super deep relationship, and really just, you know, broke me wide open, and you know, made all of my insecurities, emotions, traumas, everything just come to the forefront, and you know, made me really sort of face it in a big way, because you know, now it was just sort of staring me, you know, in my face, and I just had to deal with it. But yeah, the relationship with my ex was a catalyst for really figuring all this shit out in a big way. So yeah, you know, she was amazing, and it was an amazing relationship, and you know, I'm still learning, you know, things from it every single day. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So what are some of the challenges, or what are some of the layers that you had to pull away? Like, just give me examples, like, you know, one or two examples of like layers that
yeah,
you had to pull away that were impactful, that really shifted you.
yeah. Um, all right, give me a sec. I'll give you I'll give you a concrete example. Okay, I got it. So it is, I guess and this is something that I think everybody deals with. It's what will they think of me type of thing. You know what I mean? Like if I put this out into the world, how will, I don't even know who they is, but how will they think of me, whether that's family, friends, the public or whatever. And, I think for everybody it's different. Like I think, for some people, if they put something out into the world, they're less worried about what their family and friends will think, but more worried about what the general public will think. I think with me, it was more about what my friends, family, and just acquaintances and people that I knew would think. And, whether, that they would think that, this thing's cool or it's, good or it's exciting or, whether or not, I'm wasting my time or it's shit or, you know what I mean? Like all these, all that bullshit that, comes up when, I guess you're wanting to sort of put something out into the world. So I think that was a big one for me, really getting over that and really just getting to the point where I'm at now, where it's like, I honestly just don't give a shit, like I really don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. Like, and I think that comes down to passion, as well, and belief. Like, I think it was a combination of, building my self-esteem up, really understanding who I am, but then also really getting myself into, my dream career and my dream work, where I'm now doing something that is my ultimate. Like if you were to ask me if there's anything else I'd rather be doing in life than what I'm working on a daily basis now, the answer is no. Building JC up to be one of the world's biggest stars, building our independent record label with Nick and doing shows and, all these other projects that we've got going on and all the stuff that we have with fans and the interactions and, now doing stuff like this, like, I'm finally doing, my ultimate. And I think that coupled with the self-esteem, I'm at a point now where it's like, I just don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. And, like, I'll hustle somebody's fucking face off if I need to, get something done. You saw the Gary Vee thing with JC being on Gary Vee's show, to make that happen, that was just beyond the hustle. Like I was certain at a few points that his brand manager, Andy K, over the months was going to block me because I was just fucking relentless. But yeah, I think once you find something you really believe in, and I think it's I think getting to that point is at the intersection of building your self-esteem and finding that thing that you super believe in. And once you sort of hit that point, then it's just, you just go. But for
Yes.
me, it was a long journey to get to that point because, for me, I was always, I was really worried about other people's opinions, but that's just that's within ourselves, nothing else. And it's just an internal journey to get yourself to a point where you've built up that internal strength and that internal framework of how to think and, understand certain emotions, because it's just all emotions.
It is.
Um, yeah, how to understand those emotions and, and then channel them in a different direction. Like, it's all about learning how to manage emotions. It's super important. Yeah, and I think understanding what triggers us and what like with me right now, like I'm super attuned to how I feel and whatnot. That even if, let's say, something triggers me and all of a sudden I'm like, oh fuck, I'm feeling emotionally shit, or it's brought up a memory of my ex, or it's something, and I'm internally you got that sinking feeling in your stomach. I'm like, okay, well I know what that's connected to. That's connected to this, and then within a few minutes I've literally just like processed it and being like, okay, well that's being connected to that. That's been, what I mean? And like through the work that I've done over the years, all those little things have been resolved. So it's like, even if something tries to latch onto something else, it's kind of false because it's just, a representation of what was once there, as opposed to a true representation of what's going on right now.
Right, I get that, man. You nailed like a few different key points. I can't even get the word out. Different key points. One of them is like the source of everything, which is self-esteem, right? Like
Yeah.
having that belief in yourself and knowing that you're capable, right? Like just like believing in yourself.
Mm.
Um, and developing that relationship with yourself into the world and knowing that you could show up, right? And then there's that other part to it that's an extension of self-belief, or rather self-esteem, is not giving a shit what other people think about you. That is one of the main things that I see um, in society, but most of all with the clients that I work with, whom I help, which are entrepreneurs wanting to create their own brand, their own message, their own stream of income. The main thing that holds every single person back is self-esteem, and they care about what people think about them. They care about how they show up, how they're going to sound, how they're going to be perceived. They care about their friends' opinions, their family's opinions. Is it good enough? Am I good enough? All right, and that's something that I've battled with too in the past. Where I mean, right, like where I'm at right now, I really, I'm with you. I don't give a fuck. I really do not care what people think about me, and you can
Mm.
see it through my messaging. Like you can see it by the
Yeah.
stuff that I talk about. Like I don't really care, there
Mm.
because and the thing that you're talking about too, that really fortifies everything, which is when you believe in something, when you find something that you're like fuck yeah about, I believe in this, and then you believe in yourself and you're passionate about this.
Yeah.
It's, you were saying it's over. It really is. It really, it's to the
Yeah.
next level. You're over. You're like you're over the little stuff now. You're over like the little minds that are concerned of what other people think about them. Now you're on to the next level. So to me, that's what it means. It's over. You're done with that level now. Um, but when you can come from a place though of passion and heart and connection to what
Mm.
you are really down for, even to the point where you're like, I'm down to die for this shit, man. Like that's how much I believe in this. I'm willing to die for this, and
Mm.
eliminate all concern about what other people think about you. You don't care about that anymore. It doesn't matter. It has no
Yeah.
relevance to you. It has no
It's
no
it's it's
importance.
it's like the yeah, it's like the burning of the bridges, sorry, burning of the ships mentality. You know, where you burn the ships and it's all or nothing. You know what I mean? It's you're going full pelt, full steam ahead, and you know the only way you're returning is by taking the enemy's ships and essentially winning the game. And I think that's a beautiful place to be because when you found something, you know, that, you know, you're working on or that you believe in that much, I think that's a huge part of life. And I think, you know, when we're talking about, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and, you know, self-actualization being at the top, I think you can't have self-actualization without having that. Without having something where you truly feel like you are aligned with this thing and like this is me and I'm meant to be doing this and you know, I'm fucking good at this and you know, I love this and it intersects at all those things because it wouldn't be, you know, it wouldn't be like there'd be no point if you were amazing at it, but you didn't love it. You know, if there's no fulfillment, there's no success, you know, and there's, you know, a million cautionary tales of people like that in the world, whether it be kids that had, you know, an amazing natural ability with sports and their parents pushed them into a sport, even though they didn't love it. And, you know, they had to become, you know, a professional or, you know, top of the league. And they didn't love it per se because they were forced into it and all of that. But when it's something that really intersects at everything, where it's like you're good at it, you love it, you feel like it's your calling, you don't want to do anything else, you know, you wake up super excited, then yeah, then you get to that point where it's like nothing you can say will deter me. You know, like when I first started working with JC and Nick, like I believed from day dot, like I'll literally never forget that first time that I actually listened to his music and I went to the park, I rolled a spliff, I kicked back, I had a smoke and I just put on his music and I just decided to have a listen and vibe it. And I'll never forget hearing that first song called Fire and it just sort of came in and it was like, bah, 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 yeah. And then I fucking saw the entire future in you know, in that moment with everything that we're up to. And you know, a lot of the stuff that we've already achieved I saw in that very moment when I first heard his music. And you know, I gave, you know, him and Nick a call back straight away. That, you know, we weren't working together at the time, they were actually going to bring me on to build their website, because I was, you know, running my digital agency and whatnot. And you know, I'd always wanted to be in music, and, you know, being a music manager had always been my dream. And as soon as I heard his songs, and I saw it, I just gave him a call back, and I'm like, boys, I want to work with you. I believe in this just completely. And, you know, I'm offering you all my services, all of me for free, blah, blah, blah. Let's just fucking do this. I'll build you a website. You know, I'll never charge, you know, like I'm in. You know, it went from being, you know, yeah, a website's going to cost this, and really thinking it from a very, you know, just client perspective, to being like, wow, this is everything that I've ever wanted in a work sense and stuff. And yeah, we just went full steam ahead. And, you know, it just goes to show, like, you know, there's something to be said for, you know, alignment and connection and all of that, because, you know, me and the boys, me, JC and Nick, we connected just like that from the get-go. And also with Jed's our JC's DJ, he's our DJ. You know, he's not part of the executive team, but you know, he's still a very big part of an integral part of our team. But, you know, I connected with him straight away as well. And, you know, these boys are 21, you know, they're 15 years younger than me, but we, you know, connected just like that, and the alignment was there. And, you know, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and, you know, they're family, they're my brothers now. And, you know, that's part of the reason why we've been able to do what we've done in such a short period of time, because, you know, it's the belief in what we're doing, it's the care about, you know, all of us, it's the respect, it's, you know, the alignment, you know, just very much being on the same wavelength with how we think.
That's awesome,
So,
man. That's
yeah.
super awesome, man. Yeah, dude, absolutely right, man. Like, that's crazy too. Like when you feel something, like when you know, right? When
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah.
you had like you shared before, like in other conversations that you and I have had about like your desire to go into the music industry or to work with other artists. What like
Yeah.
where did that come from? What was it? What is that about?
Yeah. So for me, you know, throughout my life, I'd always, I'd struggled to really figure out what it is that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I really, you know, I really struggled to figure out what is this thing that I can do on a daily basis that I'm going to wake up with and just have just, you know, excitement and joy and passion every single day, where I'm like, I can't wait to get to, you know, stuck into it. And even, you know, I was up till 4 a.m. this morning working. And obviously because there's a lot of work to do, but I didn't want to go to sleep because I love doing the work. And the only reason I went to sleep was because I was like, fuck, if I don't, you know, you and I have this podcast now, I'm just like, I'll be a complete wreck. So I forced myself to go to sleep. But yeah, it was, you know, it's really just, you know, enjoying the work. And what really got me into it was, yeah, for a long time, I just didn't enjoy what I was doing, and I just wanted to do something that just felt right, that I really loved, and just something exciting. You know, I wanted to do something exciting, you know, with my life. Like I said before, I was never really, you know, down just to do just the normal stuff, and I wanted to do something cool and, you know, something fun and something different and something that really, you know, expressed all of my creativity, because I'm a really creative person. But yeah, I'm going to go on a tangent with this. But going back to your question of how I got into it, the moment that really got me into it and that made me want to become a music manager this was like 2011. And I was watching the Justin Bieber documentary. I think it was Never Say Never. And at the time I was working on a project. You know, I've worked on a lot of business projects that I've tried, and building apps and websites, and I was always trying stuff. Like, that's the one thing about me. Like, I've always been trying things, even if it lasted 6 months or a year or 2 weeks. I've always been trying
I
shit.
could
So
relate to that.
yeah,
I could
it's
relate
just
to
like
that.
we're always on the hustle. And but I wasn't loving it. I was just trying it because I was still searching for what I wanted to do. And I was just in bed one night, turned on the Justin Bieber documentary. I think probably because I've always had this affinity to music, and probably I was always drawn to what I'm doing now. And so I watched the documentary, and there was this one scene in the in the doco where his manager Scooter Braun, who who's my biggest inspiration in the game, and who I try and model a lot of what I do at an executive level on. In the doco, there was this scene where he was outside one of Justin's concerts, and it was like an hour or so before the show was about to start, and him and a friend were just sort of roaming around, and they approached the group of friends that were just kind of like sort of in hysterics because they couldn't buy tickets at the door. They missed out on buying tickets online. There was like 10 of them, and they were like super fans. They had posters, and they thought if they got to the venue early enough, they'd be able to buy tickets, and they couldn't. And they were just crying. They were just like, we're not going to see him, blah, blah, all this sort of stuff. And, Scooter just kind of played this little game with them where it was like, so you really big Justin fans, yeah? And they're like, yeah, we really want to see him. They're like, so what are your favorite songs? And they just started listing all the songs. And he just started, poking things. And he was like, what would it mean to you for you to see him tonight? And they were just, they just lost the plot. And then he's like, and they were like, well, we missed out. We couldn't get tickets. And then he's like, I've got good news for you guys. And he just pulls out like 10 VIP front row tickets. And he's like, well, you're going to be seeing the show from the very front. And they just like lose the plot. And like, even as I say now, I'm like, I get goosebumps because I saw that in that moment and I'm like, fuck, that's what I want to do. I want to create forever moments like that, because for those kids, forever in their life, that'll be a moment that they will talk about to their families and friends. And they will be like, we were at the show, we couldn't get in. And then this guy came in and he just gave us tickets and he took us to the front row and it was the best night of our lives. And that's what I want to do. Like, that's what it's about for me. That's the driving force, all the money, all the other stuff will come. I'm not even worried about that. For me, it's really, that's the driving force behind what I do, creating, forever moments, for other people. And, that's because I've had forever moments created for myself when, friends of mine that have put me on. And, when I was really wanting to start to make my way into the industry, I've got a very close friend of mine that's pretty high up in the Australian music industry. Shout out Jenks. And he looked after me a lot. He gave me backstage passes to the concerts that he was putting on. And that allowed me to go there and really network with people, to meet people, to sort of get myself to, where I am now, essentially. But going back to it, for me, those were forever moments, like when I got my backstage pass, like I'll never forget, like going there and, seeing and meeting the artists, like first and foremost, I'm a fan, like I fucking love this shit. And yeah, and it was like just those amazing moments. And I'm like, I want to create moments like that for other people too. So that's kind of like what got me into it, as the seed from the sort of the emotional, perspective. Like, Simon Sinek always says, start with why, and you got to figure out what your why is. And I think that's what my why is. And then, obviously all the other stuff, making music. I'm a huge fan of music. What I'm doing with, JC and Nick, and how we've really built this, team, but it's not just a team, it's a brotherhood. And, one thing, when I was watching the Justin Bieber doco, I was watching it and I was just looking at the relationship that, Scooter and Justin had. And I was like, if I'm ever going to do this and be a music manager and really, get into this, I don't want to just, have it be, a client sort of transactional relationship. Like, I want it to be a real brotherhood. And, that's what we've been building. And for me, that's been, one of the most amazing things, because, like, who would have thought, like, I'm 35 and, the guys are 21 and very different stages of our lives, but we both connect, or sorry, the three of us all connect, with a common goal and a common vision. And, we're very much on the same level with everything. And, it doesn't even feel you know, for me, it doesn't feel like there's an age gap. I don't know. Maybe for them, it might feel like, fuck, this fucking old cunt and whatever. Um, but, but, but for me, like, it doesn't feel like there's an age gap. And I really feel like I'm still, you know, like 21 or whatever. And, we all, you know, we get along, we're homies, and it's been amazing. So that part of the journey has been incredible. Um, but yeah, like, I think people just in life just play really small and they settle for mediocre. And I just, with me, I've just always had, you know, really big ambitions and, you know, really big visions for what, you know, I want my life to be. And it was sort of hard getting to this point because, you know, going back onto all, you know, the stuff we talked about before with, you know, the layers of shit that's just on us, that's been put on us over the years. For me, it was really a journey about breaking through all of that and excavating everything and pulling all that away to get to where I am now, which really just feels like the starting line, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like it really just feels like the starting line, because now, you know, I've got all this awareness, I've got the framework, I've, you know, like, I can't imagine if I felt the way that I feel now, when I was 20 years old. You know, it'd be insanity. And I think that's part of the reason why I connected with, you know, with JC, Nick, and Jed so much, because I feel like at 21 years old or at 20 years old, these guys are so fucking evolved that, you know, a lot of the work that I've had to do to get myself to this point, they're already naturally, you know, with that and have that. And whether that's, you know, being exposed to more content, like, you know, like a lot of the people online, you know, when we were teenagers, we just didn't have that, you know, and, you know, various other things. But regardless of all that, you know, these guys are super evolved, and that's, you know, a massive reason why we connected. And it's just been a really, you know, beautiful partnership, because, you know, in terms of, you know, on a soul level, we're very much aligned. But in terms of life stages, you know, I've had a lot of experience, whereas they haven't had that experience. But they're on the pulse with what's going on, you know, in the music scene at a very sort of ground level, which is something that I don't have. You know, I'm super good with design and attention to detail, and, you know, making shit just super polished and professional and all of that. But, you know, they're good with the super nitty gritty, you know, all this other stuff. So it's been a really complementary partnership where, yeah, we've really, you know, fully complemented one another. And there hasn't really been, there's never even been one time where it's like, okay, well, you got to do this or you got to do that. We've all really just felt our roles, you know, super easy, and just all done what needed to be done. And yeah, it's been really cool.
That's awesome, dude. That was a great share, man. I was
Yeah.
everything that you're sharing, I was like totally in your world, imagining all of that. Um, my one of my last questions here I want to ask you here is, and you've dropped, dude, you've dropped so much gold, man, like crazy
Thanks,
amounts of
man.
gold. Yeah, big time, dude, big time. I could relate to so much to everything that you're talking about here, especially with shedding off those layers and having to work through all that bullshit that's just piled on top of us. You know what I mean? It's just
Mm,
built on top of us, and then actually like stepping into that realm of action and believing in something, and then working
mm,
through that and following through on that. Um, there are a lot of people in the world right now who are confused. They don't know what to
mm-hmm.
do next. A lot of people still have their dreams. Some of them are shut off. Some of them are shut down. Some of them don't really know what to do next. They're stuck. Um, what is your suggestion, input, advice to a lot of these mindsets out there who are already plugged into this network, right? This network of thinking,
Mm,
this network of actually believing in something bigger. But you
mm.
know, everybody's a human being. Everybody has
Yeah.
that human level of thinking, right? And so it's very easy to fall back into the old ways of being,
Yeah.
knowing your past and like knowing like where you came from. You and I both know it's very easy to go back there, right? Like not now, but like it's
It's
before, like once you hit a tipping
oh,
point.
but even now, like I feel like, there's always those old patterns are always trying to fucking draw you back. You know, they're always trying to rear their heads
Accurate as fuck.
and trying to draw you back. Like that's what it is. Like those old programs, their only job is to literally pull you back into that program, and that's it. And that's all it is. And fuck man, like I'd love to say that I've, you know, solved it all and I'm amazing and I don't have any of this shit, but I deal with this stuff on a daily basis. But I'm just so aware of it now that it doesn't slide past my consciousness. I know exactly when it rears its head, when it comes up, when, you know, when certain barriers are being put up. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Where I'm at now, though, like I'll never go back, but those old patterns definitely do still, you know, those old programs do rear their head and you know, try and drag you back. But I totally get what you're saying. Where I'm
Yeah,
at now,
yeah.
there's been so much work that, you know, you never actually go back.
Right. You're super accurate, dude, with what you just said right now about that, about those patterns. And like those patterns are always there. Like that like we have our blueprint, right? Those patterns, they never go away. Like
Yeah.
you know, like what you were saying, I totally am in
Mm,
agreement with you in that because you
mm,
do like I do become aware of certain patterns that come up and I do fall into little trenches. And I know that if I keep digging that trench, I'm gonna get to the bottom one day and wish that I stopped a long time ago. Because you're responsible for digging that trench, right? So there is that possibility of always going back, but you're aware though, like it's not
mm.
happening to you. It's like you're choosing this path.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I was in agreement with. I was going to say something else, man, but I kind of left my mind. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you were basically saying, fuck yeah, what were you saying? What I was going to say was, yeah, what happens is those patterns are self sabotage. You know, like when you recognize it. So like if you don't recognize it, fair enough. You're just kind of doing shit and you're on autopilot and you're being triggered and you're not really realizing sort of what you're doing. But you know where I'm at now and being fully conscious of all these things, if I don't do something, I've associated that to self sabotage. So, for instance, I'll just give a simple example where it's like, let's say there's somebody that I'm wanting to hit up, where you know maybe in you know in the music industry, somebody like let's say super high up, and I'm wanting to you know get JC and our team on their radar, and you know wanting to you know maybe pitch something or whatever it is, and I'm delaying putting that, delaying sending that email. Like I'm fully aware now that if I haven't done that email virtually, you know, almost as soon as I've thought of doing it, that's an emotional block coming up, preventing me from doing it. And it's literally, yeah, it's literally about recognizing that emotional block, and then deciding to do it anyway, because you know nothing happens in a vacuum, and the only way to get past something is to actually do it. So once you realize the emotional block and it, you know, you become conscious of it, you've actually got to do the thing and send the email. And then what happens is if you don't, that's automatically self-sabotage, because why aren't you doing that thing that moves you closer towards your goal? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Why are you preventing yourself? You know, why are you chucking up another barrier? So yeah, I think I don't know if that answers it, but
Yeah. So like what would be your advice? What would be your suggestion to the current state of mindsets or current state of mass consciousness that's occurring right now for people who are already aware, like they're already aware of like there's something else behind the scenes, right? And when I mean
yeah,
behind the scenes, it's not, I'm not talking about political stuff or conspiracy stuff. I'm talking about like behind the scenes, behind like their ego, behind their identity. There's like something more
yeah.
powerful they're aware of that they want to tap into. They have dreams, they have ambitions, but right now they're kind of like stuck. What would you say? What would you give as
My
far as
my first bit of advice, I would literally tell them to start meditating. I would literally say, start meditating for 10 minutes a day and stick with it for 2 months, for 8 weeks, and see how you feel at the end of it. Because I guarantee you that they will feel, you know, subtle but profound changes on the inside that will make them be like, wait a sec, I'm feeling a bit different. You know, my mind's a bit clearer. It's thinking a bit faster. I'm feeling a bit calmer. I'm not as reactive. Maybe I'll continue with this. And that's what I would say. I would say start meditating, because what that will do is start giving you the tools to really start figuring yourself out. Because once you start meditating, you'll start going deep, and you'll start going deep within yourself. And I think that's probably at the crux of it. You know, people need to go deep within themselves and figure out what they want for their lives, you know, how they want to live their lives, and what their dreams are, and what's going to make them happy on a daily basis, and figure out how to move towards that. And it's a tough one, because, if you don't know, you don't know. And like, I was in that place for many years where, I was desperately wanting for what I've got right now, and how I feel internally, and, what I'm up to in my life on a daily basis. But I do remember what it's like, to be confused, and to be, depressed on a daily basis, and, to not want to get out of bed till 3 p.m. because it's like, all right, well, what the fuck am I doing with my life anyway? But I think people need to try shit as well. And people need to go where their curiosity takes them. I think, passion is one of those things where it doesn't just come out of the blue. I think passion is developed. And I think, curiosities are something that we all have. And for me, it's not like I had a passion for being a music manager or being in the music industry, from the first moment that, I saw it. It was literally a curiosity of like, wow, that looks like a cool fucking job. Wow, I wonder what it would be like to be doing that. And, taking steps towards that and going to where you're drawn. You know what I mean? I think people, going back to the being worried about other people's opinions, people stop themselves from trying shit because they're worried about what other people think, even though that thing might be the thing which ultimately brings them joy. And I think that's where, that's what people need to do. People need to go deep within themselves. I think that's the antidote to what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of political shit and political unrest, and, there's opinions from every angle. And a lot of the times it's hard to really decipher what the right information is, what's real facts versus fake news and all this sort of shit. And, for me, like, whilst I like to be informed on all the political stuff and kind of, just keep my eye on it because it's important to know what's going on in the world, I think what's really important is to find out what, one's purpose is and what your own dreams are, and to ferociously try and get those and to go after them. Because I think the more people that are selfish in the right way and really selfish in pursuing their dreams in order to create something of themselves and make something of themselves in order to then give back, I think that's the antidote. I think people, going into themselves and really, figuring out, it's pretty cliche, living my best life. But, when you take the cliche away, like, figure out what the things you need to have in your life and the things you want to be doing on a daily basis for you to live your best life, and fucking do that, because that's ultimately where the happiness is going to come from. I think, people are always like, how do I start? Or I don't have this, or I don't have that. And, I've always been a firm believer that, the key to success is never resources, but resourcefulness. And I think when people really, adopt that sort of approach and that sort of mindset, you can really make anything happen. And, whenever anybody says to me, I don't know how to do something, I just say, Google it, or fucking look it up on YouTube. Like,
I do the same thing.
Like,
Yeah.
I literally taught myself how to web design through YouTube videos and trial and error. And, I build all of JC's websites. Whoever's listening, go to jc.com.au and you can see it's a fucking sick site. I've built sites for NBA players. I've worked with a lot of interesting clientele. And, you know, if I'd had that mindset of, you know, somebody has to teach me, or I don't know how to do it, or, you know, that's it, then, you know, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am. And, you know, I wouldn't have these skills. And I think, you know, I think skills, I heard Tom Bilyeu say this the other day, and I'm a big fan of Tom Bilyeu. He's fucking amazing. Hopefully he hears this, so hi, Tom. I heard him say the other day that skills are essentially the closest things to superpowers that humans have, you know? And when we develop our own skills and become masters of certain things, you know, we can do some pretty incredible things. So yeah, circling back to your original question, I think people need to go into themselves, figure out what they want, what their dreams are, and then just fucking pursue that. Forget about everything else. Forget about what's going on in the world. Not to the extent where it's not important to know, because it is important to know and you've got to be aware of everything. But I'm saying, you know, like if your dream is to be something or do something, like, you know, follow your dream, you know? And that would be, you know, my biggest sort of takeaway, or the last thing to sort of finish on, is for people to really follow your dream, figure out what that thing is that you would do every single day, even if you weren't paid for it, you know? And I can, you know, 100% say that what I'm doing with JC and Nick and, you know, the music stuff and the management and building our label and the projects that we're doing, I would do this even if there was no money involved, even if I wasn't earning anything. You know, we haven't really earned anything as it is anyway. We're really just at our early stages building them up, and every dollar that we do earn from shows or streams, royalties or merch goes back into the business, because we're all about the long-term vision and, you know, building him up into the biggest star in the world. And, you know, when that happens, all the money and all that sort of stuff will just take care of itself. But, you know, I would do this stuff. I am doing it, you know, for free, essentially. Like, I would do it for free on a daily basis because I just fucking love it. And, you know, I can tell that you're the same about what you do. And I think it's important for people to find what it is, what that thing is for them. Because, yeah, once they find that, then, you know, they'll just be a lot happier and there'll be no turning back, you know, and it'll give them purpose and fulfillment as well.
Absolutely, man. Well said, dude. Everything you just said, well said, man. Really. Shit,
Thanks,
dude.
bro.
Yeah, dude, I really do appreciate you, like us having this conversation, me
My
interviewing you.
pleasure, man.
Really appreciate your time. You've dropped so much gold, and I know for a fact there's going to be so many people that actually get value from this, like super value from this. How do people get in touch with you? How do people find you? Drop some links here. Drop, like, you know, whatever you use to connect with people, especially if you're, you know,
Yeah.
if you're taking on new clients too.
Yeah, people can reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is just my name, Julian PALEI. So, you know, spelt the same as in, you know, the Zoom thing here. I don't know, I can send something to you, you can put it up later, whatever. But other than that, I would just say, whoever's listening, go check out my artist, JC. He's a fucking amazing artist. He's going to be one of the biggest stars in the world. He's super talented. His music's amazing. If you're into hip hop and R&B, I would go check him out, jc.com.au. That's JAYCEE. And from there, yeah, you can just find links to Spotify, YouTube, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, give him a listen. I know you're a fan already.
Yeah,
You've been
man.
listening to some of his songs, so much appreciated, bro.
Yeah.
And for me, that's my mission. You know, I want to turn him into the biggest star in the world, and then, you know, build everything else that sort of offshoots from that with our label, and then obviously bring on other artists and whatnot. But, you know, use that as a foundation to do some really fucking cool things with my life, and also, you know, some important things. Like, I really want to give back and help, and you know, see how I can play my part in the world. But I think I don't think anybody can really help anybody until they've looked after themselves first. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, just really trying to, you know, look after myself, my family, my team, and, you know, we're building, and, you know, once it's built, where, you know, along the way we're giving back as it is anyway, but there's going to be some really cool stuff in the works. So yeah, I don't know, I'm just pumped about everything. So thanks for having me on, bro, and it's been an awesome chat, and no doubt we'll have round two at some point. And yeah, I hope your listeners get something out of it. It's been fucking cool doing this.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time, dude. Yeah, man. Anybody who's listening, like, check him out. Really check out my boy Julian here, and especially JC as well. Profound music artist, man. Again, dude, thank you so much for your time. And we're gonna
Pleasure.
sign off. Thanks, brother.
Sounds good, bro. Take care.
Thank you.